Hi, I'm Emiliano Caballero. I'm a Latin Grammy-nominated mix engineer based in Los Angeles, California, and one of the co-founders of Leapwing Audio, the plugin company. I'm here today with Produce Like a Pro and Leapwing Audio to show you how to mix low-end with Leapwing plugins. In this case, we're gonna mix a song that I wrote, produced, and mixed, and it's a song of my music project called Zelmar. The song, it's called Let You Go. And it's a pop electronic track, kind of like up-tempo one, with a lot of synthesizers, a lot of guitars, a lot of like real low-end, like real bass, and as well like sub-bass, electronic subs, really heavy electronic kits for drums, and well, a bunch of other interesting instruments. I've talked about the concept of bringing the energy back in a song in other videos, and I want to demonstrate something that I've been using for a long time. And again, this is my way of doing things. This is my way of manipulating energy with low end in a song. There's 1,000 ways to do this, but I'll show you kind of like one of my go-to ways to manipulate energy in especially choruses and different parts of the song. First, I ask myself, what does the song is asking me to do? What do I feel when I listen to the song? Do I feel that I want to bring the song in the chorus like a very high energy, like high feeling kind of vibe? I want the chorus to be more intimate, like with a chill vibe. Everything starts with the music. Like, what do I feel when I listen to this? When I produced this track, when I wrote this, and like throughout all this process, I wanted it to have like a high energy, like something you will listen to in a club and you like go to the dance floor. That was kind of like my idea. Imagine like you were just like hanging out by the side or just sitting in a club, and the song will come in, and it's like it's forcing you to go dance, no matter what, if you know or you don't know how to dance. But that was kind of the vibe of the song. In order to do that, there's different ways to manipulate energy in a song. One of the things I like to talk about when talking about manipulating energy, it's thinking in walls. Like, imagine that the song's energy, it's like a bottle where it has a defined limit to it. In a 1 liter bottle, you cannot put more water than 1 liter. So I like to think of the energy of the song in terms of both amplitude and level and frequency spectrum. Imagine like for this song, I'll play you right now. I'm gonna just work in the last part of the chorus, of the last chorus, which I call the outro, which is the highest form of energy in the entire chorus. Let's check it out. Now you heard what our baseline is, what we are gonna work with. Talking about what I said in the bottle of like frequency and amplitude, you have to leave room in that bottle in order to fill it in at the end. If already the verse, it's like as wide in frequency spectrum, when I'm saying wide, I'm saying like it contains all the low end and all the high end a song like this can contain. There is no room to grow. There is no like fourth, fifth gear that I like to like make an analogy with like a car to just like give it a kick, you have to keep that like reserve in your pocket. It's the time to give it all away, 100% to 100%. You still have room to grow. Right before we start, I will like give you a couple of tips to in order to do it. Is one, do not put all the low end and all the high end in the first verse. As well, don't think about rhythmic patterns. Don't put all the 8th or 16th notes already in the first verse. Maybe just put kick and snare at the beginning. In the second verse, start adding like a quarter note on a hi-hat. Then in the chorus, start adding the shaker with the 8th notes, third, like 16th. Don't subdivide everything from the start. And okay, there's no rules for this. Like for a track like this, how I like to think. And again, you might think like totally different. Beautiful, it's art. Why not? Just to explain you about this track. So in the last chorus, something I like to do, let's say in the last part of the chorus, is to set up an auxiliary with a sub generator in order to like give this last kick or like last extra thump in the low end. And we're gonna do this in a very interesting way. Okay, so first let's find our low end components in this song. As you can see here, I have 3 tracks. One is called bass. This is basically like a real bass that I sampled and replayed in MIDI. Check it out. As you can see, this other sub bass synth in this case enters in the outro. Let's listen to this. As you can tell, it's just a synthesizer filtered without any low end, or mostly any low end, to just give it that sparkling with square wave feel to it. And then we have 2 sub basses. Here we have another sub bass. Something I like to do is, for example, in this bass, in this section, just add a bit of extra low end. So very easily we could duplicate this track, select this. If you press Command T on Mac, here's what happens. You keep only that section. And just to make sure that there is no clicks or pops with something called non-zero crossing points, just need a very like short fades in and out. So if you press Command F, boom, you will see that there's really small fades in the beginning and at the end. Here it is. That will avoid issues like pops or clicks and so on. We have here our bass, let's call bass sub. For this matter, we're gonna use a couple of plugins. First, I'm gonna use Dyne 1 to make that sub a bit more thick using parallel compression. There's a bunch of interesting presets here. One of my favorites actually for like stereo bass are the presets that our dear friend Bob Katz made for us. Say hi to Bob if you meet him. He's the nicest guy. And in this case, I'm gonna use this preset called Power. As you can see, there is like a smiley curve in the low end for this. Bear in mind that in Dyne 1 we're using it in parallel mode. That means that these faders control the compressed signal besides basically the unprocessed signal. So if we bring all the faders to infinity, we'll still hear the unprocessed bass sound. That is because the original or unprocessed bass is just passing through the plugin, and these faders control the level on each band of the compressed signal. If we switch parallel mode off, you will hear we will not have any sound. You see? That's because in parallel mode off, these faders control just, of course, the compressed version of the bass. There is no uncompressed version. I like to basically play with parallel compression in this case, but I will do something with this, unlink all the bands so I can play with each band individually. Especially with this band right here, I want to just to like have a thicker low end. I'm gonna raise this and fill it out. Again, I don't do this by numbers. Of course, like it's great to know that, for example, in low end, it's good to have not really short release times in order to not have distortion. As long as you're just keeping an eye on that, and as well like super short attack times to not chop up the transients, you will be fine. Let's listen to this. Okay, so we have a bit of compression going on there. The next thing that I like to do, it's our first signature plugin with the dear friend that we miss him every day, Al. We created this signature plugin with Al back in February 2021. We launched it. It's interesting how, especially I use this a lot in production, how it's very versatile, even though Al always was so subtle in his style. But definitely check it out. There's a few things that will surprise you. With the bass setting, I like the compression. It just does a bit of harmonics that I enjoy. The body and the air, they always add more character. And in this case, I just want to compress it just a bit more and give it a bit of more of body level. Body level and air level are EQ, okay? Let's check it out. So far, I'm gonna switch the plugins off and see the difference. Just listen for the tone change in this one. Don't I try to compensate the level, but just listen to how the lower part of the neck just gets a bit more thick. Remember that we are setting up a parallel change to this bass, okay? This sub is gonna live next to it. So that's why we are massaging it to start having the best outcome of this. So now we have it in a place where there's a bit of compression, there's a bit of body. Now I want a bit of more harmonics. And in this case, I'm gonna do something a bit less conventional, which is using Ultravox for the bass. Why am I using Ultravox? Because I want to use the harmonics section of it. I'm not gonna compress it. We can try. Probably not gonna add any air, but I just want to add a bit of more harmonics to this. Okay? Let's listen to it. As you can see, I'm not doing anything, so by default there's no processing. Again, this is a plugin we designed with vocals in mind. I'm the type of producer or mixer that, even though we did it, I don't really care that we did it for vocals. I'll put it anywhere and see how it reacts. You have to experiment. You have to break things in order to make it fun. Here's the thing, you have to keep it fun. Otherwise, what's the point? So I'm gonna just slam the harmonics. Very subtle, but definitely something that I like. I'm gonna play with compression and see what it does. I like the fact that the transients are becoming more pokey. I'll keep that. And the last thing I'm gonna do is two things. One, create a extra sub, a synthesized bass on top of that. And I'm gonna use a plugin that it definitely gonna help you with this, that we call Root One. Root One is a bass synthesizer plugin for this kind of applications, and you can add sub and really low end to any kind of instrument. For vocals works very well. The harmonics in this section are very interesting. There is very interesting setup, the amount of drive, the color of this drive, and the drive for each band, okay? Again, you can blend the original unprocessed bass and your subharmonics and harmonics. In this case, I'm gonna start with just not blending any of the original. I just want to hear what the synthesized version of this bass sounds like, okay? I'll start with the more sub frequencies. Bear in mind, this is very low, from 10 to 36 hertz. You can change this crossover, but in headphones, if you don't have basically a large diaphragm or large driver headphones, it will be a bit tricky for you to listen to it. So bear in mind that could be the case in your playback system. Okay, let's check this out. You can already hear this like thumpy, like sub bass. Something I like to do is to start distorting each of the bands separately. I'm gonna start with the middle band, like between 36 and 72 Hertz. I like that vibe. The next thing we could do is to create harmonics with this guy. I will bring up a bit of the original, but the reason I process all this is in order for Root 1 to receive like kind of like the best version of the audio, okay? So I'm gonna bring this up a bit and see how it feels. Let's listen to it with the other bass. You can hear a bit of a buzziness that I like in the low end. And while I'm talking, I'm actually changing what I hear, meaning like ideally I was thinking like doing this as a parallel, but I really like what I found with the compression on the original bass. So what I will do is automating by section the plugins. So what I will do, if you press Control Command Option and this guy, now you will automate all the sections of the plugin. So what you could do, and if you press Control Command Bypass, you can actually automate the bypass of Root 1. So here's the thing. During the track, you will hear like the first chorus and the second verse and the second chorus. You will hear everything but Root 1. And then Root 1 only comes in the last chorus. Something like this. You can tell that right now Root 1 is not being used right now. You can tell that at this point it's gonna be when Root 1 starts acting. Let's move this just for the sake of things closer to here and see what happens. I'm very happy with the result, so I'm just gonna do something which is basically playing the track in the last chorus and enable and disable all plugins at once. It's a very useful shortcut to know. If you press Shift A, you see that you actually enable and disable all plugins at once. Let's listen to a bit of the song before the last chorus and just compare. I like it, but I'm gonna change when Root 1 comes in. What I'll do is I'll wait until the last outro in order for Root 1 to kick in, something like this. We're gonna play halfway through the last chorus. Beautiful. I'm gonna play the track in solo for you to notice the difference. Again, from the halfway through the chorus. As well, you could do this technique with an auxiliary where you just make an auxiliary called sub. You move root 1 over. If you press option and drag it, you duplicate it. But just make sure you don't include any of the original in this auxiliary. Or if you want to be rock and roll about it, you can do it, but you will be adding the original on top of it. Again, there's no rules. I'll encourage you to just play with it, see what you like. Sometimes you want a bit of the original because you're processing this sub as well. So the other thing you could do, instead of, let's say, disable root 1, if you press Control Command and click on it, you make it active or inactive. What you could do is to actually automate the mute of the send. Again, to show the automation lane in Pro Tools of that track for that button. For example, if we want to show the automation lane in Pro Tools of mute in this track of this send to the sub, press Control Command, click on mute, and you see when I mute and unmute, the lane changes the status. I'll do something which is in this section, the last outro, I'll open the sub. Let's see. This guy solo save the auxiliary send, making sure that this is good. Let's listen to it. This way is a bit more flexible, and as well what we could do, we can get rid of the automation here. Again, if you press Control Option Command and click here, you remove all automation. So the bypass automation does not exist in here anymore. As you can tell, there is no bypass automation. Perfect. One thing that this extra auxiliary send allows you is to then, just like, for example, if you want to do another dyne one on top of it to further boost the low end, we could do it. Let's listen to it. In this case, a bit too much for my taste, so we can like bring it down a bit, and let's make sure the automation perfect is good. And let's just listen to it now. So again, there's a few different ways to go about it. Basically, the concept is very simple. In the high energy, on the in the highest points of energy on a song, open up all the frequency spectrum in the high frequency and the low frequency. You could do this for kick drums. Maybe put an extra sub generator on the kick drum, and when the chorus hits, do that. You could do this with distortion in the high end. For example, if you want to like get more excitement in the high end, you could do the same thing, like just with a high frequency band. Bear in mind that this is it's taste. It's my way that I hear music. It's how I like to hear music, more importantly. So experiment with this, make it your own. Don't take my word as church, because there's again 1,000 different ways to go about it. And just find whatever makes you jump out of the chair and want to dance and excites you and gives you shivers. Because the reason people will listen to your music is because they make them feel something. Remember that, and I hope this video is useful for you. If you have any questions, please let us know in the comments. Thank you, Warren, Eric, Mel, everyone here at Produce Like a Pro. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I'll see you next time.